The MLS season may be on a break, but that doesn't mean MLS teams won't still be in action as we have the Leagues Cup kicking off. It's the second version of this tournament. It started last year, and it's back this summer with Matchday 1 kicking off on Friday, July 26th. We have 5 games on Friday, 7 on Saturday, 3 more on Sunday in Matchday 1. In total, we'll have 47 teams from MLS and LigaMX all participating in this tournament. Now, in the group stages, a few teams have byes. For MLS, it's Columbus as the MLS Cup champs, and for LigaMX, it's Club America, who had the most combined points in 2023 across the Clausura and the Apertura. All games will be played at MLS stadiums. That does give the MLS teams a bit of a home advantage here. The top 2 from each group. It's a World Cup style tournament. Top 2 from each group will advance, but not third place teams here. Regulation wins will count as 3 points. There's no ties. Each team receives 1 point if the game is tied after 90 minutes. The winner of the penalty shootout, if it goes to that, will get an additional point. Now, this was a great tournament to bet last year, in my opinion, if you liked goals. With MLS hosting, every MLS team has that home field advantage, but generally speaking, the caliber of LigaMX is still considered to be higher than that of MLS, maybe outside of some of your top MLS teams, which in my opinion creates more of a level playing field here with maybe some of the weaker side, a little bit weaker MLS teams playing at home, and then you have a little bit stronger LigaMX teams playing. Last year we saw lots of goals. Let's get into Friday's games specifically in this video, and if you're looking for a great way to score some big bonus money through deposit matches, risk-free bets, and bonus bets, be sure to click on the link, signupexpert.com/shredthespread. That'll be in the comments of this video where you can see what each of the top sportsbooks in your region are offering. I often use Bet365, Caesars, DraftKings to make up all of these bets in these videos, and all of these books and others have great new offers for customers, even up to maybe up as high as $1,500 in bonus bets, so be sure to check it out. Now on Friday, I said we have 5 different games. I'm going to create 2 parlays from these 5 games. Let's start off with Atlanta United and DC United. If you were looking for a team who was going to beat the Columbus Crew, who've only lost 3 times this season across any competition, it likely would not have been Atlanta United, who were winless in 5 games, but they topped the champs last weekend 2-1 at the Benz. The Five Stripes have scored 2 goals now in back-to-back games and at least 1 goal in 11 of 12 in all competitions, but they have given up a goal in 12 of 13 in all competitions and multiple goals in 4 of their last 6. It's a similar story for DC here. They had been winless in 11 games before a 2-1 and 3-2 wins in recent games. Still, it's not since way back on March 30th that DC has kept a clean sheet, and that's a run of 19 games. This season, Atlanta won 1-0 in DC back in June. Previous scorelines other seasons have been 3-2, 1-1, 3-1, and 3-2. Both teams to score has gone 7-2 in the past 9 between these teams. I can see that happening again in this game. DC have not kept a clean sheet in forever, with Christian Benteke second in league goal scoring right now with 16 goals. They're always capable of getting on the score sheet, though, themselves. Let's go. Both teams to score between Atlanta and DC. Next up, Orlando City, CF Montreal. Oscar Pereira has the Lions rolling 5-2-1 in their past 8. Now, they'd won 4 straight before drawing New York City FC 1-1 in the last round of MLS. Now, in this stretch, they've outscored opponents 22-11. They're piling up the goals, but both teams to score still 7-2 in their past 9, so they're not always keeping things tight at the back. Montreal were kept off the score sheet themselves at home to TFC in their last game, despite Joseph Martinez having a great chance to equalize that game at the end. Montreal had a 2-2 draw, a 1-0 win, and a 1-1 draw before that TFC game. They have only 3 losses in their last 12, but they also only have 3 wins in 12 and only 3 wins in 20 across all competitions, so they've been drawing plenty of games. It was a 2-2 draw in April and a 0-0 draw in February when these teams played in MLS. That extends a run of 7 games where the home team is undefeated. I would not like to bet against that here. Orlando's in great form, so I think if Orlando could win this game, Orlando to win and both teams to score, or simply both teams to score, or for this parlay, for simple purposes, just over 1.5 goals. Next up, Pumas, LigaMX side, and Austin. These teams have never met before. It's been a strong start in the Apertura for Pumas at 3-1-0. They're sitting second, but they're tied overall in first with Cruz Azul and Tigres with 10 points. They've scored 9 and they conceded just 3 goals in 4 games. If you go back further, Pumas has just 1 loss in 12 games. If we go back to last season, now they've scored in 9 of 11. They've scored multiple goals in 4 of 5. They've conceded in 5 of 6, and both teams to score is 4-1. It's not been a good season for Austin, who are 10th in MLS. Their home form at 6-4-3 may give them a bit of a boost here, but they've still conceded 19 goals in those 13 home games, including 2 against Charlotte, which is not usually a high-scoring team, in the last round in MLS where they drew 2-2. The Verde have only 2 wins in 11, and they've given up a goal in 11 of 12. With games against Pumas and Monterrey, their stay in Leagues Cup, in my opinion, might be short-lived. Being at home, Austin could certainly get on the score sheet. They are generally capable of scoring when they're at home. So possibly that both teams to score option is a good bet, but they've just been poor, and I think some sort of play on Pumas is probably the safer bet here. For me, I'm just going to ask Pumas to score, but if I was picking a winner, possibly Pumas or Pumas double chance, Pumas draw no bet. For this parlay, Pumas to score over 1.5 between Orlando and Montreal, and both teams to score between Atlanta and DC, coming in at plus 120 odds. Now we have two later games here, and it's Seattle and Minnesota. Seattle won 2-0 at home in June when these teams last played, and they're now 5-1-0 and undefeated in 6 against Minnesota, and 12-2-1 all time. The way these teams are playing, I could see that being 13 wins now for the Sounders after this. Seattle got pumped 3-0 at home to LAFC in their last game, but they had won 6 straight before that, outscoring their opponents 12-4 in that time in those games prior. Further back, they have just 3 losses across their 19, so Seattle has been rolling up until that last defeat. Meanwhile, Minnesota snapped a run of 9 winless games by beating the wooden spoon leader San Jose 2-0 last week. Now, that's nothing to get too excited about, as San Jose have just been dreadful this season. They should likely end up back in the L column, though here the Loons had given up multiple goals in 6 of their previous 8 before that San Jose game. If I'm going to pick a winner, it has to be Seattle here playing at home, or I'm just going to do something very simple and just ask Seattle to score just to slightly bring down the odds of this next game. It's the last game on the night, and it's LAFC in Club Tijuana. Tijuana sits mid-pack in Mexico right now after the short start to the season. They're 2-1-1 in the Apertura. They have scores of 2-1 and 4-2 in their wins, and then a 3-0 loss and a 1-1 draw with Atletico San Luis in their most recent game. So it's a good start under new manager Juan Carlos Osorio. Domingo Blanco and Raul Zuniga led the team with 2 goals each, and MLS fans will certainly remember Emmanuel Reynoso from Minnesota, who's now playing with Xolos. Current form this season, at the end of last season, will look good for Tijuana at 4-1-2. But before that time, they had gone winless in 15 games. And if we look at these 4 recent wins, 2 to end last season and 2 at this season, they have wins over Juarez, Puebla, Querétaro, and Chivas. Only Chivas could be considered a top half team right now. LAFC, not only a top half team, but likely a top 3 team in MLS right now. A 5-1 loss to the MLS Cup champs Columbus. 3 games back is their only loss across their last 16 games. They just dismantled Seattle 3-0 on the road last weekend, and they're 13-2-1 in the last 16 games. And Seattle had been rolling coming into that game. It's a home game for LAFC, but have to take into account that Tijuana is only 150 miles south, so they will certainly be well supported in the crowd as well. Olivier Giroud is the big transfer coming in for LAFC now that the transfer window is open. Probably unlikely to debut, though, yet in this game, as he's just finished the Euros. But LAFC are one of the top teams on the continent right now, with or without Giroud, and they're in great form with Dennis Bouanga and Matthias Bogusz combining for 29 goals alone between them, 16 and 13 respectively. These teams have never met before. The line, though, moving in LAFC's favor. I saw it at minus 125 earlier this week. Now I see minus 154 at Bet365. And I agree, LAFC should get the win here at home. So let's go LAFC to win. That's just minus 154. I'm going to throw in that Seattle goal, bring that down to get us close to even money at minus 118 for an LAFC win with Seattle to score. Certainly, you could try Seattle and LAFC both to win in the parlay for better odds, but I'm just going to play it safe there with LAFC to win, Seattle to score. Those will be the picks I have for Friday's League Cups games. To keep this video manageable in length, I'll go into the weekend games in a separate video, but let me know what you're betting in the Leagues Cup on Friday or this weekend. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and follow for more Leagues Cup and Olympic picks as well coming up in the following weeks.